True skill is revealed through patience, not pride. I remember watching him as he carefully handled the tools in his hands, his movements steady and unhurried. There was no rush, no sign of frustration, just a quiet rhythm to his work that seemed almost effortless. I had seen others try to do the same task. Most became impatient, skipping steps, eager to prove how fast they could finish. But he was different. Every motion carried purpose, every pause carried thought. It was as if he wasn't just fixing something. He was understanding it, listening to it. And that's when it struck me. Patience wasn't slowing him down, it was guiding him toward perfection. In a world that celebrates speed and quick success, patience is often mistaken for weakness. People think being fast means being capable, that showing off means being confident. But real mastery has no need to shout. Those who truly know what they're doing don't compete with time. They work with it. They understand that every great result takes focus, and focus cannot exist without patience. I realized that what separated him from others wasn't how much he knew, but how calmly he applied what he knew. There's a certain strength in waiting, in observing, in choosing not to react immediately. It's easy to act in pride, to rush and make noise, to prove yourself at every turn. But it takes real discipline to stay quiet, to trust your process, and to let your work speak for itself. Watching him, I began to see that patience isn't just a habit, it's a form of intelligence. It's the ability to see beyond the moment, to know that lasting results come from steady hands and clear minds. And when the task was done, it wasn't just his skill that impressed me, it was the peace in the way he carried it out. Knowledge becomes powerful only when tested. We often meet people who can speak endlessly about what they know, who have read every book, memorized every theory, and can quote great thinkers word for word. But when the moment comes to act, when the situation demands more than talk, many of them hesitate. That's when I began to understand that knowledge on its own is not enough. It's like a sword that looks beautiful on display but proves its worth only in battle. What matters is not how much you know, but how you use what you know when the time arrives. I remember watching him face a problem that no one in the room could solve. Everyone offered opinions, ideas, and explanations, but none seemed to work. He stood there silently, eyes focused, mind turning. He didn't rush to show off what he knew. Instead, he tested every piece of information carefully, connecting one idea to another until it all made sense. And when he finally acted, it wasn't a guess. It was a decision backed by experience, patience, and courage. In that moment, his knowledge transformed into power. The truth is, knowledge tested through challenges becomes wisdom. When life puts us to the test, we find out if we truly understand what we've learned. Each trial sharpens our insight and humbles our confidence. We stop relying on words and start trusting our instincts. And the more we face those tests, the stronger and more refined our understanding becomes. He taught me that the real test of knowledge isn't about answering questions. It's about solving problems when there's no one to guide you. It's about remaining calm when everything is uncertain and trusting that what you've learned will carry you through. Knowledge that isn't tested stays shallow, but once it's challenged, it becomes something living, something that defines who you are and what you stand for. Experience teaches what books cannot. I had read countless articles, manuals, and tutorials about the very thing he was doing that day. I thought I knew enough to understand every step, every principle behind the process. But when I saw him at work, I realized that what he carried within him couldn't be found on any page. His movements had a rhythm born from repetition, from trial and error, from moments of failure that had shaped his instincts into something far deeper than theory. He didn't just follow steps. He felt them, adjusted them, and understood their meaning beyond words. There's a limit to what reading or studying can give. Books can tell us how something works, but experience teaches us why it matters. It's the difference between knowing the path and walking it. Experience comes with the sound of mistakes, the silence of patience, and the satisfaction of discovery. Every scar, every misstep, every success becomes part of the wisdom that no classroom can offer. Watching him reminded me that the best teachers are not always the ones who speak, but the ones who do, fail, and rise again with stronger understanding. He didn't rush or brag about how long he had been doing it. His experience showed in the smallest gestures, in the way he handled the tools, in how he noticed tiny details that others overlooked, in how he anticipated problems before they appeared. It was as if every past challenge had taught him to listen, not just to the task but to the silence around it. And that's the beauty of experience. It humbles you. It reminds you that real learning never ends. You can read every book and still find yourself lost the first time reality tests your knowledge. Experience, on the other hand, stays with you. It sharpens your senses, deepens your understanding, and transforms information into wisdom that no written page could ever replace. Humility often hides the deepest wisdom. When I first met him, I didn't think much of him. He didn't talk about his achievements, didn't correct others, and never tried to prove that he was the most skilled person in the room. In fact, he blended into the background so easily that most people barely noticed him. But when he started working, something changed in the air. His calm confidence, his attention to detail, and the quiet authority in his actions spoke louder than any words could. I realized then that true wisdom doesn't need to announce itself. It simply shows through actions. So many people equate wisdom with visibility. They think the loudest voice in the room must be the most knowledgeable one. But those who truly understand the depth of what they know rarely need to display it. They let their work, their kindness, and their patience speak for them. That day, as I watched him guide others gently without arrogance, it struck me that humility isn't weakness. It's strength under control. It's knowing what you're capable of but choosing to stay grounded. There's something powerful about those who don't compete for attention, but instead focus on doing things right. Their silence carries more weight than speeches, and their respect for others makes them respected in return. Humility gives space for growth, for listening, and for learning even when one already knows much. Because the truly wise understand that there is always more to discover. His humility created an atmosphere of peace around him. People felt safe asking him questions, knowing he wouldn't judge them. He corrected mistakes with grace and taught without making anyone feel small. And in doing so, he earned a kind of respect that no title or recognition could bring. Watching him, I learned that wisdom and humility are inseparable. The deeper your understanding becomes, the quieter your pride grows, and that silence becomes the purest expression of true knowledge. Every test is a mirror reflecting both the teacher and the tester. When I decided to test his skills, I thought I was only measuring his ability, his confidence, and his knowledge. But as the moments unfolded, I realized the test was showing me more about myself than about him. My curiosity came from a mix of admiration and doubt. Deep down, I wanted to see if my judgment was right, if my understanding of skill matched his reality. Yet as I watched him work, calm and steady, I began to see my own impatience, my own need to prove something. The test wasn't about him anymore, it was about what I was learning through his example. He didn't seem affected by being tested. There was no sign of offense or pride in his expression. He treated the challenge as an opportunity, not a threat. That alone reflected the strength of his character. It's easy to perform well when no one is watching, but it takes true grace to remain composed under scrutiny. As he continued, I realized that the way he handled pressure revealed something profound. Mastery isn't just about what you can do, but how you carry yourself when someone tries to measure you. Tests in life or in learning always reveal two stories. One is of the person being tested, their patience, wisdom, and preparation. The other is of the one giving the test, their intentions, humility, and willingness to learn from what they see. Sometimes we test others to find their limits, only to end up discovering our own. I had expected to find flaws or weaknesses, but what I found instead was a quiet mirror that reflected my own growth. That day taught me that every test we give is an opportunity for reflection. We think we are assessing others, yet often it is our perspective that is being shaped, our pride that is being refined, and our understanding that is being tested in return. The greatest lesson comes when you least expect it. That day started like any other. There was no special reason for what I did, no grand plan behind my decision to test him. It was a simple act of curiosity, a small moment that I thought would pass unnoticed. But sometimes, it's in those ordinary moments that the most meaningful lessons unfold. Watching him work with such ease and calmness, I began to realize that what I was witnessing wasn't just skill, it was wisdom in motion. Every move he made carried experience, every pause carried intention, and every outcome spoke of quiet mastery. I had gone in expecting to evaluate him, but I walked away having learned something about life itself. The way he handled challenges, the way he remained unbothered by mistakes, and the way he treated every task with respect, all of it became a silent teaching. He didn't lecture or explain. He just worked, and through his actions he spoke to something deeper in me. It made me realize how often we miss life's lessons simply because we are too focused on proving something instead of observing. The greatest lessons don't always come from books, speeches, or structured teachings. They come from moments that catch us off guard, from people who never intend to teach, yet end up changing our perspective completely. They come from simple experiences that remind us of patience, humility, and grace. That day, what I thought would be a small test became a turning point. It opened my eyes to the power of observation, to the importance of listening, and to the value of learning from those who quietly embody excellence. I learned that sometimes the most profound lessons are hidden in plain sight. They don't arrive with applause or attention. They come softly, disguised as ordinary encounters. And if we pay attention, those moments have the power to change the way we see everything.